Wow, in my wildest dreams did I ever envision a moment like this. What an honor it is to be here. I must be honest with you, when Michael Dorsch contacted me with the news of this honor, I immediately thought that it was a case of mistaken identity. I'd like to start with a question, just for show of hands. How many of you here like to help someone or be of service? Wow, every hand went up. Every hand went up. So, helping someone makes us feel good. It brings a certain amount of joyful satisfaction. When we give of ourselves, we feel better about ourselves. And of course, there's that line of, it's better to give than to receive. My life has been so enriched over the years by realizing the value of being of service to others. Back in 1976, as a senior here at Blakefield, we didn't have to fulfill a community service requirement as part of our loyal experience. And the Jesuit motto, Men for Others, had just come into existence in 1973 by Father Pedro Rupe. At that time, I didn't fully understand what it meant to be a man for others, and certainly hadn't embraced that mindset for my everyday activities. In the mid-1970s, if you were here at Blakefield, as some of you were that are here today, it was a far cry from where the school had previously been prior to that time and where it is today. It was a pretty relaxed campus. No hair code, no dress code. I mean, bathing suits and tank tops and flip-flops were, that was okay. Generally, not a lot of rules. For many of us students, it was a really cool time to be here. For many of our parents, not so much. But I did have my first experience with an opportunity for community service. The school had the Red Cross on campus for a blood drive, and somehow I got to be in charge. I'm pretty sure my motivations weren't altogether altruistic. Most likely it was the pretty nurses, juice and cookies, and the potential of getting out of lacrosse practice that afternoon. The first two were spot on. However, Coach Stewart saw things differently. I did believe I ran extra suicides that day. So fast forward to life after Blakefield. It took me 11 years to graduate from college, during which I started my career in real estate. I don't advocate 11 years, guys, but I loved college. At that time in my life, in my 20s and early 30s, there was no directed thought of being of service to any person, place, or organization. I had a somewhat successful job, a growing family, and a little material wealth. Although I believe I was thankful for where I was in my life, I do not believe I possessed a true sense of gratitude. As I look back now, I was just going through the motions. In 1993, things in my life started to change. Emmett Vogel, class of 1974, proposed an idea to create a scholarship in memory of Mr. Carreau's son, Billy, and asked me to help. 31 years later, and I still get to have fun with the Carreau family every May. And guys, let me tell you how much fun it was to yell at Mr. Wiedenkamp, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Carreau, Mr. Broom, some of the other teachers as they competed in this 5K run. And I got so had fun doing that. Next thing I knew, I was invited, more or less volunteered, into the Maryland Mentoring Partnership, where I became involved in the lives of two young men for 4 years. I'm not certain how much a mentor I was to those two young men, but those boys sure could eat. Let me tell you, we went out to dinner a lot. More importantly, I was realizing that I truly enjoyed being of service. I started to evaluate when and where my efforts would be best utilized. And from from there, the snowball of opportunities to be of service started to pick up. At about the same time, in the late 1990s and 2000s, I faced some personal adversity. I had to come to terms with the fact that I could not control my drinking of alcohol. It was taking its toll on my family, on my marriage. I seemed to be able to function at work, but it was only a matter of time before there would be serious consequences. I had a decision to make. I received help from a variety of friends, God, and the good people of Alcoholics Anonymous. I started to learn about acceptance, a new faith and relationship with God, humility and gratitude. And my perspective on my life underwent a change. Not only did my decision to stop drinking change my outlook on life, but time and experience have also contributed to refocusing my lens on the way that I wanted to live my life and how I relate to others. As I look back, I started to realize that I would not be standing here today without the aid and encouragement of so many. Quite a few of the men sitting in this room today planted seeds in my subconscious many years ago that germinated later on in my life. Teachers and coaches here at Loyola, men like Temple Pierce, Father Buck Sheridan, Mr. Stewart, Coach Broom, Mr. Carell, Mr. Wiedenkamp, Father Salmon, and Father McDonald. All were dedicated in helping mold me into who I am today. I just didn't realize it at the time. Along with this shift of perspective was the realization that I am not alone in what has happened or happening in my life. I believe that God has placed and channeled so many inspiring role models in my path. People who saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. People like Joe O'Connor, Terry Meyerhoff, Jim Piper, Bill McCarthy, Michael Brooks, Van Brooks, and Bruce Cleveland. These men and women actively live or lived lives of servant leadership, contributing their time, talent, and treasure to so many people and organizations in need. This perspective shift allowed me to realize the definition of the word humility through human interaction. Now, I had trouble truly understanding the meaning of humility until I heard it defined as not thinking less of oneself, but thinking less about oneself. I finally got it. And, you know, there were sacrifices along the way in terms of time away from my family. So I'm very grateful to my family, my wife Kingsley and our children, Kingsley Quinn, Garland, and our son Tommy, who surprised me yesterday by flying up from Charleston to be here this morning. I love you, Tommy. Thank you. Sometimes, you know, I get asked to do things, and I have a problem saying no. My wife would say, "Why can't you just say no?" And I'd say no. And other times people would go around me and they'd request through my wife if I would be available to help out with anything. And her response generally was, "Just give him a microphone or tell him he gets to wear a costume. He'll do just about anything to help." You know, the joy that I get from sharing and the giving of yourself is many times, it's a group effort. Whatever costumes I have donned over the years, be it Santa, the Easter Bunny, various drag queen ensembles, a turkey, race car driver, jockey, naval officer, or in whatever capacity of volunteer opportunity. It can, and usually is a positive experience, and I'm telling you again, it's rarely difficult. It's rarely a difficult thing to give back. At one blue and gold event, I was dressed as Vanna White in the four-court jet from Wheel of Fortune. And I'm standing on an elevated platform, and a friend of mine walks in with his mom, and they're arm in arm, and this woman happened to be a good friend of my mother's. And I'm up there waving to her, calling out her name, and later on her son said, my mom looked at me and said, Frank, who is that ugly woman waving at me? And I thought I looked pretty good. Then comes the week camp. I guess what I'm trying to convey is that being of service can be fun, rewarding, and in so many cases, joyful. I know I keep referring to this change of perspective in my life. And I don't believe I'm alone in this transformation. And for each of us here today, this shift can happen at any time. Sometimes it's a sudden awakening. Other times it's a slower process. There's no set schedule. And especially for you seniors, guys, most of you have a long way to go. You have a blessing of being here at this school and a wonderful opportunity, a lot of opportunities ahead of you. So guys, keep being willing to try new things and open-minded about the world around you. I heard this quote recently which resonated with me. Gratitude is when memory is stored in the heart and not the mind. And so today I try to live with this attitude of gratitude. This sense of gratitude helps to keep me balanced. This balance is augmented by the acceptance of who I am, strengths and weaknesses, of what I am in control of in my life, which is just myself, and by a faith in God. I love the line, man plans, God laughs. For you seniors, get used to hearing that. And guys, if you want complete control in your life, make sure you're by yourself, because that's really the only person you've got control over. This medal that I am so honored to receive today is not just about me, but a true collaboration of, let me get this third page here, of men and women in my life who presented me with challenges and opportunities, which so many times, unknown to me at the moment, turned into blessings. These blessings have enriched my life, my family's life, and the people whose lives I interact with as I attempt to be a man for others. Thank you all so much for being here this morning, and roll Don's roll.